All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Town Hall number 3. We have a very small crowd this evening, but this is also going to be broadcast out in our weekly communications and pushed out to families. So we want to make sure that everyone is still getting to participate virtually if you weren't able to make it this evening to help with some action planning. Before we begin, we did want to include a little taste or a modeling of what we do with our students. We shared that it was about to happen at the last town hall, but it is underway. So we've done this 4 times with our students now, and it's called our Monday morning meetings. And it is a social emotional learning experience for our students to build relationships and find a sense of belonging within the school community, within their classes. So students that have alternating A, B first periods get to do this with 2 different groups of people, but the students that go to the same first block get to do it with the same group each Monday morning. And the topics are provided to the staff, but we wanted you to get a chance to see what it is your students get to do each Monday with their group that they are assigned to on the roster and with the teacher leading that. So I'm going to toss it over to Dr. Neighbors to lead us in this Monday morning meeting. I know it is Thursday evening, but we are going to break the mold here just for the experience purpose.
I love how you're modeling middle school behavior. Good evening. And so I'm going to hopefully be able to hold the mic and a rubber chicken at the same time. And you'll understand why in a minute. So what I'm going to ask everyone to do is to stand up. And we're going to get in a circle. And like I would tell students, we're going to be chicken wings away. So not eagle. I know we're CMS Eagles, but we're going to be chicken wings away. So that's how close we want you. So chicken wings away. We're going to create a circle. All right. And so first thing I'd like to do is to start off with a greeting. I'm going to turn to my left, and I'm going to say hello to the person to my left. I expect that they would return a greeting and then turn to the next person to their left. So good evening, Ms. Griggs.
Good evening, Dr. Neighbors. Good evening, Ms. Jeffer.
Good evening, Ms. Griggs. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Tanya.
Good evening, Tanya. Good evening, Shay.
Good evening, Jonathan. I'm Shay, everyone. Hello. Good evening, Linda.
Good evening, Letitia. Oh, sorry. Good evening. Thank you, Shay. Good evening, Letitia.
Good evening, Linda. I'm Letitia. Good evening, Stephen.
Good evening, Miss Letitia. Good evening, Dr. Monroe.
Good evening. I missed the game. Melanie?
Good evening.
Good evening. Melissa. Why I keep saying Melanie? Good evening, Melissa.
Good evening, Dr. Monroe. I'm not sick. Good evening, Dr. Neighbors.
Good evening, Ms. Fry. Thank you for being part of and welcoming everyone into the circle. Now I'm going to ask you just to put your hand up. And we're going to just take a second to breathe. Because sometimes we just need to have a moment in our busy days just to be, period. So we're going to use this 5-finger breathing technique where you're going to just trace your finger. And you're going to go up your finger, you're going to breathe in. And then down your finger, you're going to breathe out. And breathe in. And breathe out. And breathe in. And breathe out.
This is stupid.
And then breathe in. Just try it. And breathe out. And breathe in. And breathe out. So I'm gonna ask you to try this one more time just by yourself. Just practice it. Like, I'm not gonna have you breathe in with me. So just do it one more time, tracing your hand. All I ask you to do is to be quiet and to breathe. Thank you. I appreciate it. So we have one question we're going to ask today, and I'm going to pass our talking stick. And our talking stick is a rubber chicken. And with the rubber chicken, I'm going to now pass to my right. And I'm going to give you a question. I'm just going to ask you to answer it. Now, if you don't feel comfortable, you're not having a good day, and you want to pass, you can just say, pass. Right? But my question for this evening is, what is something you've done for yourself to bring joy? So I'll model this, and what brought me joy is I intentionally, we had a really late dinner last night, but I wanted to have dinner with my 2 kids who we've all been running in different places, and my husband, and we had a family dinner, and that brought me joy.
I've been teaching my stepdaughter the joys of jigsaw puzzles, so we get to connect every day over that.
Awesome. I got a gig tomorrow night, so I've been able to play my drums, which brings me joy, and I'm going to play again tonight when I get home.
I got to finish a Percy Jackson book with my daughter.
I requested some time off of work, even though I have to take my daughter to the doctor, but still, I took time off.
I got to talk to my best friend on the phone for a really long time yesterday, and today I got to get some really good me time in at the gym and doing some personal stuff for myself.
I have to. Oh, how come it's not doing it? Do you have to do it faster? Bad chicken. Anyway, back to class. This may sound shallow, but I was excited I could make it to the gym yesterday, and I did 2 classes, and today my hamstring doesn't hurt, which is a huge accomplishment because it's been 6 months. Nice. Here's your chicken.
I got to work out today.
Well, okay, for real. I was trying to think of something a kid would say, but anyways, I got to book my flight to go to my youngest daughter's house for Christmas, and I'm going to be there 17 days, no concession stand.
So I pulled my old music notes out, and for the first time in I don't know how many years, I played the piano, which was kind of very satisfying.
And I got to go to the Bazaar, but I went with my mom, which made it the most special to me and most, I guess, fulfilling, or brought me the most joy because we don't get to spend a ton of time together.
I want to thank you all for participating, and I'd also like you to repeat after me as we close this circle. I will find another way to bring joy to my life tonight. All right, let's go back to have your seat. I'm going to unpack this really quickly with you, and then we'll move on with our meeting. So we do this with students, and I want to really commend the SEL committee as part of BRAVE. Mr. Salvedo and some teachers on that said that this is important for our students. And so again, the work that's happening here at CMS and thinking about the BRAVE committee brings strategies like this. It's very intentional that we do a circle so students can see and look at each other eye in the eye, because we don't do that. And middle school students, and I said this, we talked about this with the staff today, they want to be seen. They may not always appear that way. They put their head down, they walk in the hall, don't talk to me, it's not cool, but they do want to be seen, and they want that sense of belonging. And so these morning meetings we're doing on Monday mornings really are trying to cultivate that. You all had smiles on your face when you got to talk about joy. Our kids get to do that too. It also helps that everyone in that circle was seen and heard, because someone said something to them, good morning. And even if they didn't want to participate, you all played along nicely, thank you. But it's okay sometimes to have a bad day, and that's a good indication for a teacher too. Like, why did he pass today? Why did maybe his tone he's not the same? It's a good check-in. Yes, Ms. Arnold? On Monday mornings, and we've only done this, 4 weeks, Mr. Salvedo? That's what we actually did today at the faculty meeting. So we unpacked it, they tried it out, kind of like, I don't want to say pilot because it is an expectation, but they tried it out first. And so we got a feedback. So Mr. Salvedo did a survey and got some feedback on how's it going? What are some things that they're challenging with? What are some things that are going well? We saw a model of one on TV, and then we did it on a video. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Right. So just want to give you a little taste of what your students and our students here are doing, and something that really came out of BRAVE Committee and this good work. So I'm turning it back to Ms. Griggs.
All right, thank you. We don't want to take a ton of the time to do the opening. We want to have a lot of discussion tonight and really get to the nitty gritty, especially with the shorter time frame. So our objective remains the same for these town halls, which is to facilitate meaningful and open two-way communication that supports information sharing, stakeholder input, and school improvement. Our agenda is as follows: a welcome and purpose. We did our Monday morning meeting modeling, and then updates and accomplishments, and then the breakout work groups, similar to last time, but we're going to focus on one key area and flesh out those somewhat planned ideas that came from last time. Our meeting norms also remain the same, which is listen with an open mind, share, speak respectfully, be solution-oriented, represent one's self, not a group of folks, and then assume positive intentions. So just a few updates here. I just wanted to report out on the Stop It reports. I had included a little blurb in my most recent weekend communication regarding a report that we received and reminding about the two-way communication feature that we have. I just wanted to share too publicly that we have received so far this school year 48 Stop It reports. And that does allow us to look into a variety of things. There are things such as, bullying or picking that are being reported. There's things such as I saw somebody vandalize something that maybe they shouldn't have touched, or pulled a soap dispenser off the wall. So we're able to look into those types of things, all the way down to I don't like certain things that are in the school. So like I don't like the cafeteria not charges too much for the Slurpees that they just started selling. So we get a wide gamut of things reported in the Stop It app. However, we look at all of them seriously. They do go to all admin and school counselors, so we get them very quickly, and it can tell us immediately who has opened it, received it, and begins responding. So it's a way for, if I open it first, the rest of the admin team and counselors can see that. They can see that I've responded, and vice versa if somebody else gets to it first. So we get them in the evening time, we get them in the morning time, all day, every night, and on the weekends. It's never not active. So I just want to point that out too. So it's 48 so far this school year, and just wanted to remind folks this past weekend as the two-way communication. I don't know that all the students know about that feature, so that's something that we're going to push out to them as well, to remind them that there is a messaging feature. If they put in a Stop It app and it's not completed fully or doesn't have a lot of information, that allows the administrator or counselor to respond back to them asking for more. So some of them are vague, as you can imagine. A middle schooler writing a report, they aren't very descriptive sometimes. So when we ask back, what time of day did this take place, so that we can narrow down camera footage, or what was the other student wearing, or something like that. If they don't know the person's name, then we're able to respond, and they can then respond back to us. So I just put a reminder out there to families, because some of them are coming from our parents in the evening. So we just wanted to make sure they knew, and then we'll also push that out to students to make sure if you put one in, that you're paying close attention to your email and the report. It kicks it back to them to respond to us. Yes, Ms. Arnold. I'm going to come over with the microphone.
I know that there have been recent incidents of students doing reports on an incident that a teacher is saying, can you write this down to do the report to give to the principal? Is there any way to get the teachers to understand to just get the kid to do the Stop It app immediately?
I'm not aware of that, but that is something that we can certainly push out to the staff, that if somebody brings something to them, they can just direct the student to the app.
Because we as parents have been educating the kids to use the Stop It app. And if the teachers would we could all work together to get that. It would cut out some of that handwriting of the notes that they have to do, and they could just stop what they're doing and go immediately to go use the Stop It app.
Definitely. That's definitely something we can push out to our staff. They may think that they're helping by expediting, but like I said, that's instantaneous. As soon as the student hits submit, it comes through. So, Dr. Monroe.
I just want to let parents know that I commend the middle school, because not only do they get the Stop It app, I get them as well. Mr. Wick gets them as well. Every time that I've gotten a Stop It app, I always check in with the middle school, and they have always been already on it. So it's just good to know, just to let folks know that if Mrs. Griggs is on vacation, or, there are multiple levels of that, and I get all of them too. And again, I want to commend the team, because I know every time I get them, when I call and start texting.
We're already 10 steps ahead of you. Yep, we've got the summary and the outcome done. It is, yes. So that's the reason I wanted to really push the two-way communication reminder, because we can't tell who it is. It's not like I can go do some digging and see that it was little Johnny who submitted it and I can call him out of class and have a conversation with him. It does, in fact, have to be that anonymous two-way communication if they feel comfortable identifying themselves. We have had students identify themselves in the app. It was just the most convenient way for them to tell us something. But oftentimes that's not the case. But they don't pay attention to that question that we have, and then it slows the investigation down. And sometimes when those are pressing, the vandalism ones, the bullying ones that could potentially be valid, that we want to get on right away, it slows that process down if we don't have all the information to begin looking.
Thank you. Quick question, where is this app located?
Sure, it's on the county page, and there's also a link, I believe in my newsletter, it's a standing link towards the bottom where the admin and counseling communication is. The Google Play Store and the Apple, I'm not familiar with Apple products, but there's an app that you can go to the store to get and create a login to submit. You can access it via a web browser. You can. Yep, you can just go straight to the website. Yep. Yes. Yep. And it doesn't ask super hard questions. It's like, who's in need of help? What other information you want to share, grade level, gender, things like that of the student they're describing. So it's very simple questions, easily accessible by students and families. Just wanted to also touch on our pep rally rescheduling. So we did take some feedback from the last town hall, and I know we had discussed in one of the group consequences. So with that being said, leading up to the pep rally, unfortunately, in the large group setting, we were seeing some negative behaviors demonstrated, and that was mostly at transition time, that 3 minutes between class, which I will say has significantly improved since that was taken away and rescheduled. Significantly improved. One of the highest traffic areas where grade levels have to intermingle there in front of the bus loop to get from wing to wing, and it has drastically reduced. The redirection is almost non-existent at this point. And it's a reasonable volume for that number of students that are transitioning at the same time. Lunch has also improved in many ways. 8th grade, I will say, this week has almost been flawless. Hardly any feedback. So if you are considering coming to do lunch volunteering and you're like, yeah, no thanks, because you're just afraid that that's just a lot of noise or chaos because there's so many kids in one place, please come. It's getting so much better, and we have had an increase in volunteers come to lunch to volunteer, and it's been very helpful as far as supervision, and the kids like seeing them there, and they've all reported back that students are being respectful to them. So that's good to hear. But I'm super proud of 8th grade. We did try a little bit of a reset with our staff helping out with that, and it did work well. It was about 3 days long, and that's really all it took. And the students' feedback, they noticed a huge difference as well. So what we were going to try to do next is implement something very similar at the 6th and 7th grade level and tweak it for their specific needs. So we're going to continue to work on that. And that group consequence was given because of their group behaviors, the large group behaviors. So now we're able to track, since that point where it was taken away, we're able to track individuals' behaviors so that we can then remove the next one from just individuals versus the whole group, and to kind of tailor it that way, similar to what we did at the dance. And then the last piece, again, this is just a reminder about student accountability measures that we take into consideration. We do pair the punitive consequences with restorative consequences so that students are receiving, something that doesn't feel great to them, removing them from the social environment or something like that. Community service would be a restorative one. So we might pair a punitive consequence or reduce a punitive consequence and add a restorative, or keep two in place at the same time. So we do have students working with our custodians. We have students that are making announcements and public service announcements based on their behavior to inform students of what not to do and how to meet expectation after we have that conversation with them and we reteach the behavior. Right now we're running this week reset videos, all of our administrators, based on just observations that we were making, created some videos that went out in announcements, and then tomorrow they will take a quiz on them. So they'll be quizzed on all of the reminders that they received all week, and if they receive 100, they will go into a raffle drawing for a prize, and 3 students from each grade level will earn a prize. So we incentivized the reminder quiz so that hopefully they will do their very best on it and they will get drawn in that raffle. And then this slide was in the last town hall, but I just wanted to, again, this is what I just reminded everyone about with the restorative and punitive consequences being the way we go. But we really do rely on the code of conduct and a matrix that we use as far as like if this is your first offense, your outcome might look a little different than if it's your 10th offense for one of those minor behaviors like a disruption that's been repeated over time. So we do rely heavily on that, and that is simply because we like to be consistent. We like to have, make sure everyone has the same experience as much as possible, and then take things case by case as well and consider things through an investigation process and due process. Couple of accomplishments since the last one, and again, this was about 3.5 weeks ago, but we also had Thanksgiving in there as well. So, but we still have accomplished quite a bit. So we are starting to incentivize our growth in assessments, which is a way that we're addressing the DF list that was brought up at the first town hall. We want to shrink that DF list and grow our honor roll list. So we are incentivizing growth. And that does not mean everybody has to get 100. You don't even have to get in the A range. If you are growing a certain amount in each assessment, then you're going to be, you get an incentive. And so right now the PLC groups, our teachers are creating lists with student feedback as exit tickets to create menus of those incentives. So what is it that they would want to earn? A lot of it is free, come to find out. So they'd like social time. They like board games. They like a couple of minutes to watch a movie. They want 20 minutes in the gym during the school day. These are all things that we can certainly facilitate. So not everybody's going to work hard for the same thing. So we would like to provide a menu to our students to see how this goes. We're going to try this with the integrated reading writing test for English, which was one of the lower performing common assessments that we saw this past 9 weeks. If this goes well with them, then we will do this across the board for all of our common assessments. Take Your Legislator to Work Day. The SGA president attended that with us and did a fabulous job presenting. So this is just some SGA updates and news. Their Instagram account has been created, and we are going to meet on Monday with the president and Mr. Clark to determine how we're going to push that out to students as well as families. And Mr. Romero, our president, has written a bill with his cabinet, and we've reviewed it. We've had student input. We've had some staff input. And again, we are going to talk on Monday about how to finalize that and push it through, especially now. It's the free seating bill at lunch. Now that we are seeing some improvement with lunch behavior, we feel a little more comfortable pushing that bill through for our students and are happy to oblige and facilitate that with him. I already talked about the reset announcements with the quiz. We did push out a volunteer interest survey in our newsletter this past week, which asked for parents to tell us what is it that you want to see on this list? How do you want to contribute? Not everybody has time. Not everybody can come in the morning or the afternoon. So we wanted to get some feedback from our families and the community on how they want to volunteer and what's the best ways we can reach them. So I will take a look at that this weekend. That'll give everyone a week, and then we'll update some things and continue to push that out and collect information. With that being said, our volunteer app is up and running and is, I think, been very successful considering that it's only been a few months. So we've had October, November, and the little bit of December so far, and there's some stats here on the slide. We have 17 of 94. Now, that's not number of people or volunteers that we asked for. It was over 200 spots people could sign up for, but there were 94 events. So one lunch duty might have accounted for like 2 people. So I just did it by event. 17 out of 94 events or chances were signed up for in October, 17 out of 62 for November. Again, remember we were off for 3 of those days. And then that did not include the dance, where we had a lot of help. I think it was like 30-some parents that were in this place, and it was amazing. And the dance was amazing itself too. December and January currently have 83 events to sign up for, and we already have 4 that have been filled. That was as of Monday, so there could be even more. And there are new things on there and a lot of classroom help. I put out a a big push for our staff to let me know when they were doing something they could use help with, like stations or labs or things where they're working in the agriculture shop and things, and the teachers have responded. There's a cooking lab going on, so if those things interest you and you have some time, there are slots on there to help in classrooms with different things. Please do not be afraid to do that. You don't have to be an expert in science to help run a science lab. It is simply for supervision, help with cleanup, help with setup. All right, and in the works, we have a book study site visit. The Leader in Me book study is almost finished. We meet next week for our last session where we have concluded the book. And on next Thursday, 1 week from today, we will be visiting a school in Maryland that is facilitating the Leader in Me as a second year implementation. So we get to visit this school and we are going to get to go into classrooms, see how it's working. So that's super exciting. And then we'll come back and talk about what it could look like here. The school is also willing to provide all their documents that they use and help us out just to get us jump started as well. We are organizing currently for the month of March. I believe it's March 28th is the tentative date at this time, but we'll put out more advertising soon, a Stop Bullying Walk that will be open to our students throughout the school day, and we'll need lots of volunteers for that. So March 28th, if you want to go ahead and plug that in your calendar, that will definitely have a lot of spots on the volunteer sign up. Eagle Flight student sign up took place this week. So that's the in-house during the school day club, the day after the 2-hour delay day, that students get to start, a club, and they'll get to go to that each month. So they wouldn't have to stay after school to participate. They got to sign up for those this week during science classes. PBIS Rewards is undergoing a rename. We're going to name it Eagle Bucks. That was voted on by students as well as staff. We have increased our staff usage of PBIS Rewards, which reinforces the whole reason that it's a positive thing, from 32% of the staff using it to 59% of the staff using it. And we are planning to host an upcoming challenge after the new year to make sure students are remembering those reset videos that we pushed out this week. And then beginning in January, we will have a new way for you all to tap into myself as well as some select other folks on certain topics, and it's going to be called Eagles Mingle. So be looking for these flyers. These will happen out in the community at a variety of times of day. So some will be scheduled for in the morning around breakfast time where you're heading into work. You could swing by and grab a cup of coffee, say, hey, tell me a concern, give me an idea, and be on your way. I'll be available for about an hour to an hour and a half at each of these. Some will be at lunchtime at restaurants where you could grab lunch and pick up lunch and say hey, and then some will be at dinner where you're more than welcome to bring your family. My kids will likely be with me, so they'll be around 6 o'clock, and they're out in the community. So I'm hoping that the businesses will give us some discounts for bringing in some business, but we'll talk about lots of different things, and I'll bring some staff resources with me as well. Yes.
This is phenomenal. Just 2 quick questions. Yes. One, are there going to be any students to visit the school in Maryland for the Leader in Me?
There will not be students at this time. We do have our family engagement specialist, assistant principal, Mr. Salvedo, myself, Dr. Neighbors. We do have 2 parents. Miss White is actually joining us, as well as Miss Allison Sears, future board member and parent of Caroline County Public School students. There are not, we have a counselor representative as well as a teacher representative too, that all participated in the book study. We did not invite students this time. It was advised against that. I did pre-meet with the school for the first visit. This one is really tailored to implementation and the process of bringing it. They are more than happy to host us again, they said. So come back as many times, just give them a heads up and a date so they can schedule out the rooms that will actually have lessons going on. So if we really like it and we want to bring some SGA students or some Spark team kids or do a drawing of kids that want to go, they're more than happy to host us again.
And the second question is, how about for you being out in the community on tour? Are there any staff persons or students that will be joining you in all of your community visits?
Yes, that's a good question too. So they have predetermined topics that are based on trends or questions that we often get. So some would be about school safety, and I may ask folks like Miss Jeffer, who's also here tonight. She's part of our risk and threat assessment team, to go with me. If it's about student activities and athletics, I may ask Mr. Clark to come with us. And then just students in general, yes, I can definitely invite, strategically invite based on the topic so that I have experts in the field with me. All right, so we are going to get down to the work groups now. This is virtually the same as we did last time, but we're going to focus on the same different, what did we call these? Focus areas that were brought up from Town Hall number 1. So we made fresh new posters. I did print all 4 posters and the comments that you all made on them. So we did go back and type this up so it's nice and neat in the boxes what each group created. So you will get a stack of the completed 4 different groups, so you can incorporate some of their ideas tonight into the poster that we create. And then we will come up with an action plan that surrounds just social, emotional, and empathy skill building, which truly is our student behavior group. So which seemed to be the largest choice at the last town hall. So what we wanted to do is break that apart so that we could have a little bit more time just talking about the one topic, and put all the brains together. We did break the posters down by location because we did find that student behavior, for example, in the cafeteria should look different than it does in the classroom. And the things that we would do in the classroom setting would look very different than in the cafeteria setting. So we do have several posters. I know we don't have a very large crowd, but we may try to still break up into at least 2, because we would like kind of those common spaces to be addressed as well as in the classroom, since we know that we would not take the same action as in one place as we would the other. So we'll still break up into at least 2 groups so that we can do that. But we'll have a chance to look at each other's work and give some feedback and add towards the end. Okay, so what we will do, you've gone through all the things that we are doing, what we've said is working well, what we've told you is not working well, and those trends. You're going to brainstorm using a poster that looks like this. It's going to have the space up here in blue on your poster, and you can look through the previous poster materials to kind of flesh these out. So the one that's on top will be your social emotional learning one. Then you have the family and community engagement one, recognition and motivation, as well as student activities and leadership opportunities. So everything that everyone came up with last time is on these. A lot of them said to dig deeper during the 3rd town hall. So there's not a ton of fleshed out work here. What we would like to do tonight is actually get some who and do behind the action item down on the poster. So then after that set time to work on the posters, we will stop you and you will get a chance to visit the other poster and, you know, give little check marks and smiley faces to the things you love, and then add anything that maybe you were thinking could apply to that location while you were in your group. And then we will take these, of course, back to our Brave teams and our admin team so that we can make the magic happen with your advice. Okay? So at this time, I guess we will go ahead and stop the recording for the work group, and we will pick back up to tell you good night later on and summarize the evening, and we will break into groups. All right, that brings us to 6:30, ladies and gentlemen. To close out the night, and yes, I've inherited our friend Chicken, to close out the night. Thank you so much for the ideas that we put down on paper. Again, this is not the only time we can talk. We can certainly set up individual meetings or small group meetings at your leisure. If you just reach out, we're happy to arrange for that to happen, to continue some of these conversations. And again, please fill out the volunteer survey so that we have your preference on how you'd like to give input and how you'd like to participate here at the school. It does include time frames and the ways that you would like to be communicated with. So make sure you fill that out so we have your feedback there and are including more ways to have more folks show up to these. I know it is sick season, it is holiday season, it is winter sports season, so there's lots of busy people, but I hope the folks that end up viewing this take away the modeling that you got to see, all the goodness that we shared, and please know that our posters have writing on them and lots of very good conversation took place today to kind of give us some things to go back to as an administrative team and review, but also some action for our brave teams to take as well. So we will be back in touch with you with the recording of this, as well as the posters typed up so that we can share all of that out, and we will be back in touch with our next steps and any other future meetings that you would be able to attend. Did you have something to say?
If there is some positive takeaways tonight, I know sometimes we do some exit tickets and things with our students, but if there was a, kind of a takeaway tonight, if we have 30 seconds for folks to share, one thing that I wanted to share is that I am excited to see evidence and artifacts that the input and the suggestions that have come out of these, we're seeing evidence and artifacts in our daily work with the students. I know I have substituted and volunteered here, and I have seen change, and I just want to commend the team for acting upon the recommendations from the community. Would you like to share any takeaways?
I'll just echo that and say thank you for the participation, but also for the ideas, because we really would prefer to do what the students, the community, and the staff think is effective, because that's the buy-in piece there, and that will create that paradigm shift. Ms. Arnold.
I think my takeaway is that I think we all know that this is hard work. I think that no one's questioning that, and we can see that there's change and positive change and really good steps forward. And I think everyone should be commended for that. But I think Tanya said it earlier, but the microphone wasn't on. We need parents to show up to get involved instead of just complaining and not taking action and steps forward. So those that are here and they're getting involved and working on it, I think those should be, commended too for coming out and being part of the community and the solutions, because putting these solutions forward and having them impacted is an amazing effort, especially for Caroline to come forward, because we can be leaders in this, especially for a small community. We can really change stuff from the ground up here, and that's what our kids need.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to share a positive takeaway? All right, Ms. Arnold with the mic drop. Okay. Thank you. I hope everyone drives safe, stay warm, and enjoy your holiday season.